Hey, good evening, everybody, and happy Friday. I hope you're having a great start to your weekend. I wanted to address a lot of questions that I've received, both phone calls, private messages around Kylie's state, and it's interesting because many of you have expressed, not necessarily coming out saying you're confused, but saying, I thought Kylie was doing so much better, and what happened with this surgery, and where's she at today, and how's her progress, and just So I want to kind of clear the air, and I don't think I've ever really expressed or talked about the behind the scenes, and I'm certainly not going to get into great details, but I would just say that it's been 1 week today that Kylie had her surgery, and of course it was supposed to be a 2.5 hour surgery, ended up being over 6, and a hospital stay possibly overnight turned into 5 days. I mean, from Friday to Tuesday. So this last week has been very humbling because we've witnessed Kylie going from where she was at pre-surgery a week ago to literally being in a worse state than what she was when she came home. And let me define that. Kylie's leg has been through so much trauma, and the pain that she is experiencing from all that they had to do, because her rod had failed. They had to extract that out of her leg. They had to put a new rod in, which means they made an incision at the top of her hip and went in down through the top of the leg this time. So a new entry wound. They had to, obviously pull bone out of her pelvis. They used that as the compound to fill in the gap. They did a very invasive knee surgery to clean out all of the scar tissue. And all of that they did, I mean, it literally was like being in a worse state than what she was through her break. So, I'm not being negative, but the reality is Kylie went backwards, but only to go forwards. So, to say she's doing good, no, she's not doing good, but she's gone backwards to go forwards, if that makes sense. And it's going to take time, and the pain, to see your daughter, where we're at is we're having to help her into bed, and we're having to help her out of bed, and we're having to grab her leg like we used to. And we've got experience and we've got knowledge around that, but we never got to hear Kylie scream. I mean, there was several times, when she came home, there was certain things that she would do that she would have to scream to let out the pain. And now it's even worse. I mean, it's like getting up from the couch, getting up out of bed. It is a blood-curdling death scream. It just, and as a parent to hear that, I mean, it just breaks your heart. And she does that because it releases this pain, and it's the only thing she can do, And so, seeing that, obviously, everything else that's going on, she's got physical therapy 3 times a week, and she came home today from physical therapy, and when I got home from work, she was literally comatose on the couch. I mean, tried talking to her, and she's like, I'm just zapped. I can't talk. Additionally, the pain is so great that she will inadvertently, especially, and it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. We know the pattern, but after PT especially, she throws up. The nerves, in her body and everything is taking place, she throws up. And so, and that is another horrifying scene. And I tell you all these things not to be negative. It's just the reality that we're in. And, throughout this whole thing, we've all wanted to maintain a positive spirit, and we are still. But I think where we're at now, it's totally appropriate to just let you all in on a secret that behind the scenes and what we experience on day to day, some of you, and I even talked to one of my buddies from back home, he's like, I don't even want to know the details. I can't stand to hear it, because it just breaks his heart, And so there's things that, Ange and I go through with Kylie that Kylie's having to go through, and we keep those close to the chest. But I want to bring it up because the specific prayer is for those horrifying things that we have to witness day in and day out that you all don't know about. Lift Kylie up in prayer for that. It's hard for us to watch and see, but we know that God's got it, and that every day we anticipate will get better, but it's not going to come without a price. And ultimately, that price is Kylie's suffering. And here's the other reality check. And this break and everything that's going on in that right leg is not like you break your leg, you get it casted, 6-8 weeks, cast comes off, you're good. Break your arm, get it casted, 6-8 weeks, cast comes off, you're back to riding or throwing a baseball or whatever. This isn't that. The fact is that Kylie is going to be in a wheelchair for some time, up until the point that she can put weight on that leg. Weight meaning that she can put all of her weight on that leg. And then once she's able to put weight on that leg, she's going to have to learn to walk again. She lost both of her adductor muscles. She has those control a lot of balance. So she's going to have to learn and exercise and build that right leg back up, because it has, for all intent and purposes, completely atrophied. She's going to have to learn how to walk again. Motor skills, gait, strength, all of that's going to have to be built up. That will not happen overnight. So we're talking months. And, the prayer is that she will be able to walk again. That's the prayer. But she ain't out of the woods yet. That's the reality. And so I say this message not as a message of being negative. That is not us. It's a little taste, a little snippet of what, some of you were questioning. Some of you were saying that there's more to this story, what's going on. And so hopefully this, gives you all a little perspective, day in the life, if you will, of what Kylie's having to go through. And certainly Angela, she's pulling double duty again. I'm working and she's, working through the night, taking care of her, and working through the day, getting her to her appointments and whatnot. So anyway, we got our first follow-up appointment on Monday with Dr. Warner, the orthopedic surgeon. And then the following week, we've got an appointment with the infectious disease doctor. That's the really one that's, for me, if you could pray for a couple of things. That on the infectious disease, when they did the culture of her bone, they found 2 different bacterias, and that's not good, as you all can imagine. But one of which is pretty significant, and if it's not treated or left untreated, it could really cause her to go septic. And so they've got her on a very strong, high-powered antibiotic for the next 6 weeks, twice a day, which, what that does, that's, throws her whole body and her digestive system out of kilter big time. So that weighs that scares me to death, because of just situations that I've seen with my dad. Before he passed, he battled all kinds of blood issues, infections, and if he ever got infected, it was a major issue being a diabetic. But as you all know, if you get sepsis in your blood, I mean that's not good. So just praying that the antibiotics do what they're supposed to do. And that's the crazy thing. The only thing they can't test for that bacteria out of the blood, because it was a culture from the bone. That's the only way they can culture or test for that bacteria. So what they test in the blood is just ensuring that red blood, white blood, no infection in the blood. They can test for that. So it's just it's the uncertainty, and again, not losing faith, not losing hope. It's just the reality. And our fervent prayers are not going to stop, and our fervent belief and our faith in what God has done thus far and what He will continue to do, we have faith. As I said, we put Kylie in God's hands, and His will be done. And we trust that will and have faith that ultimately it will deliver exactly what we're praying for. So, anyway, I wish you all a very blessed weekend. Enjoy your family. And I want to say thank you to all of you that did reach out and just had the questions coming in. So hopefully this message brings some answers to those questions and certainly a reality check on what's going on. So anyway, have a great weekend. We'll give you an update perhaps next week after Kylie's appointment. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.